This is for Pokemon Legends Arceus, a game that I have been kind of having my eye on routing for some time. It's quite a different kind of Pokemon game from most other like main series games. So like the any percent category, like any category you play in this game is going to have research factored in. You have to complete research tasks on Pokemon instead of just catching them. And it's really interesting because for Shiny Charm category and specifically, you have to complete the Pokedex, which in this game means completing level 10 research on everything. And it's a pretty long speed run, and I have been known for doing some crazy long speed runs in the past. But yeah, the main PowerPoint notes, that's just kind of where all the final stuff went. And just to kind of explain, like when people see this for the first time, it's possibly a little overwhelming, but basically I just kind of subdivided it by area. As anybody that's played Arceus knows, there's kind of like 5 main areas in the game that you kind of progressively unlock as you go. And within each area, I've kind of subdivided it by section. So like Obsidian Fields 2 means that's the second actual visit to the area. That's when everything refreshes and everything kind of resets. So it's like a fully fresh trip. In total, we make actually like 9 trips to this area and then slightly fewer trips to all the other areas. One of the major departures from other Shiny Charm runs that I've seen is that if everything goes according to plan, we shouldn't have to make any extra trips to any of the areas. Like, we shouldn't just keep having to jump around. It's like, oh, I missed something in this area, let's go there. Or I missed something in this area, let's go there. At the end of the run, wasting so much time with extra dialogue, extra trips, extra research turn-ins. We should just be able to organically complete everything as we go. And what's extra nice is that we can probably do so without any like mid-area party swaps. So you see all these Pokemon icons up at the top here. Those are what we can be expected to have as a party for this particular area. And I have like color-coded boxes indicating whether we're evolving things or whether we're swapping certain things for other things that we've caught, or whether they're things we're catching along the way, like in the area. How long is this run? This run currently stands at 13 and a half hours. That's the record that just dropped a few days ago. But with super optimized routing and strats, I am very confident that that can actually come down probably to at least 12 and a half. I think we can kind of cut it down by at least an hour. And even without these newer strats, I'm pretty sure it could get sub 13 just barely, but yeah, I feel like this category has needed some cleanup and some real love for some time. Like, the thing is, a lot of the other runners of Shiny Charm have mostly done catch 'em all runs, and it kind of shows in a lot of especially the trainer battles later on. The catch 'em all strat is just to use one Pokemon for those fights and just kind of solo them by, juicing up their stats all the way, giving them tutor moves, and then using the equivalent of an X item called the Ox Power Guard, and just kind of storming through. The thing is, with a category like this, while that is making the fight itself faster, you are leaving a lot of research on the table. Because you're using one Mon that may not even need research anymore. But what I found is you can actually use strats similar to any percent, where you kind of can use a full team of Mons. Let me get to a specific fight slide later on. So like this part of the game is when we fight this guy, and then we, leave the cave, and then we fight this guy, and then we catch the Dialga. So this is the party we're going to have for that whole section. And we actually have, a decent amount of moves to complete on each of these guys. And each of them has an alpha that you catch. You don't have to like use items and evolve them. Like you just catch them at insanely high levels with good moves. And so you can just bring them to the fights, not have to juice them up at all. You might have to teach a move or two, similar to Gen 8's, system of moves that they had at an earlier level. You can just kind of freely give them to them. So we're using a lot less money because the person in town that teaches move tutor moves and such, we don't have to talk to her at all for the entire run after we get introduced to her at the beginning. Yeah, not talking to the move tutor anymore. So that's already like a major thing that I wanted to make sure the route had. Because not only is the fights aren't even that much slower when you do this kind of strat, you're getting so much more research done, you're saving a ton of money. That's kind of the main change that I absolutely wanted to make, other than reducing the amount of extra trips and such. So while it is a very long run, there's big time save available for free. So I'm definitely going to try to run this soon. And anybody else that wants to is going to feel free to, look through this document. It's not completely, there's still stuff I'm going to change, obviously. I was actually in the middle of rerouting a bunch after I play tested everything. And I just yesterday got it to a stage where I feel like it's pretty much fully updated again. But there's obviously little optimizations here and there that I'll probably still find, and a couple other fight-related things I want to test. But for the most part, I think this is pretty solid. Aside from the main notes, I also have a bunch of kind of just like other reference docs here that I'll also share with people. This damage calculator, or catch rate calculator, is extremely useful for figuring out, because throughout the game, right, you get different tiers of Pokeballs. Like they kind of get better as you go, so you can catch stronger Pokemon like alphas more easily. But there's also like various different factors that affect catch rate. You can like feed a Pokemon, you can throw stun items at them, and this calculator kind of shows you every factor. It's not fully automatic. I actually didn't make this calculator. I should stress that I did not make this calculator. But I definitely did use it a lot, and it's insanely helpful. So I just kind of threw it in here with everything else. I did kind of change up some of the column names and stuff and added some levels just for, quick reference. But yeah, this was insanely helpful. Like you just kind of enter in all the information, and then your final catch chances down here at the bottom. Very, very nice reference tool there. And then this is something I made that kind of just shows all of the tasks for each Pokemon that we expect to do. This is the kind of stuff that's in these notes in line as you go through the game. But if you're curious to, just look really quickly and see what we're doing, I kind of alphabetically listed every Pokemon and the tasks that we actually will do. You see all these should add up to 100. That will complete each Pokemon. And that is the whole goal of the run, is to basically get level 10 research or 100 points on every single Pokemon as fast as possible. And I guess I should put an asterisk next to every single Pokemon because if you'll notice from my title slide here, it says true shiny charm percent 242. This is just kind of a name I made up. So to get the shiny charm in game, you actually, I think, only need to do 238 Pokemon. That was one of the things I was going to test for sure tonight. Because every other shiny charm run has done 240. Like Phione and Manaphy are, I think, optional to complete. You still have to catch them, but I don't think you have to actually complete them. But regardless, I'm just going to do 242 anyway, just for completionary sake. You know, I'm going through this much effort, I might as well add these extra two. These extra two are not, strictly speaking, available in your game right away. Like, you have to have save data from other Gen 8 games to get them. Like, you literally just have to start a save file in Sword or Shield to get Shaman, start a save file in Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl to get Darkrai. Like, just as early as you can possibly save in those games is enough on the profile that you're speedrunning. So, yeah, availability is an issue. You know, you don't have to do these two if you don't want, but I wanted to make a route that did do all 242. So, there you have it. So, you know, it only adds like maybe, if I had to guess, anywhere from 6 to 8 extra minutes to the run. So we're doing like a tiny bit extra work over the 12 and a half hours or so. It's fine. Bigger flex, you know. And yeah, this I just kind of copy and pasted straight from Bulbapedia. This is all of the research tasks. If you just wanted to see at a glance, like, is there an alternative way? You know, this is for routing purposes. It's like, is there an alternate way to go in as far as completion? And yeah, there's definitely more than one way to complete Pokemon optimally. Some of them are not going to be totally optimal for that Pokemon alone, but what my notes do is try to do them in pairs whenever possible. Like clicking specific types of moves on a thing that has to be defeated by that type of move. Like, just as an example, Ninetales has to be killed with a water move. I don't think we actually do this anymore in the route, but yeah, just as an example, you know, using a water Pokemon that has a research move that's water type on something like Ninetales, you know, I try to combine them like that whenever it's feasible to. And then this other stuff down here, so this is for the research tracker that Corvimae developed on Ranger. Basically, you can just download this locally and then go to the Ranger site and you just click and drag it anywhere onto the page and it'll automatically fill in. It'll basically be this, just with a bunch of check marks showing which tasks are done and stuff. Just as an option, you know, people really like that tool. I don't think I would do it during runs, like mess around clicking everything during runs. But mostly that's just because I've gone over this route so many times. I've kind of memorized most of the tasks, not all of them, obviously, but I can generally kind of know roughly what we're doing to complete each thing as we encounter it. And then these are kind of just really old text files. Basically just kind of really old routing information. This is how I started routing this category. This was like over a year ago, and I didn't want to not include it because I like how it shows the progression of ideas and, you know, how things change, and maybe it'll spark other ideas as people go through. But yeah, it's basically just a fully pure text version of the PowerPoint with older strats and kind of messier ideas and stuff, some of which probably wouldn't actually have worked out. But yeah, they're there if people are curious. And then just a couple of like miscellaneous documents here that I found that are interesting, like the formula that the game uses for determining how much money you get when you turn in a survey report. The amount of grit you can get from releasing Pokemon from the pastures, because I actually do that in the route. That's kind of the whole thing that ties the route together, actually, is at one point you're going to mass release everything that you've caught, or almost everything that you've caught. You get a massive amount of money items to sell, and that's how you get through the big money bottleneck in the game. Which happens after you've been to each area one time. There's this big plot twist where you get kicked out of town, the whole sky is pink. It's like this apocalyptic thing, and suddenly you can no longer turn in research, so you can't really easily get money anymore. But yeah, one way around that is just to, go into your pastures and click release on a bunch of things. And yeah, it's quite a lot of money, actually. And yeah, speaking of money, there's a new item that we're going to actually be buying a lot of in the route that other runs have not been. And it does work out pretty well. It's the strongest stun item called a Sticky Glob. The way you buy it is you have to upgrade the general store all the way up to the maximum stage, which doesn't actually take all that long, surprisingly, if you can organically kind of weave it into the required trips to Galaxy Hall, since you have to go there a lot anyway for each mission debrief and, all that stuff. It's kind of out of the way each time. You have to go downstairs instead of up, but I don't know, the dialogues are all pretty short. You can pretty quickly get all the items you need to upgrade the store at each step. But yeah, basically we're going to be farming a lot of sticky globs that way with the money that we get from the mass release. Oh, and then this Ursaluna digging table is thrown in there as well. That's another one of like these couple neat reference docs. Just something I found interesting. Apparently, it depends on the area you're in. Some of the percentages of getting certain items from the ground using Ursaluna. You can more likely get the evolution items we need in certain areas versus others. It's like they kind of flip-flop the rates. So like Crimson Mirelands has 3 and 7%. But you go to Cobalt, it flips them to 7 and 3. So if you're missing one of these specific items, use these areas. Just kind of something to keep in mind that I thought was cool. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. Yeah, and like I said, the PowerPoint is kind of the big tamale here, and then everything else is kind of just like other reference materials and cool things to look at. And I'm gonna make all this public either later tonight or tomorrow. And starting in a couple streams, I don't know about next stream, but in a few streams, we will start getting back into Legends Arceus speedruns, starting with any percent, and possibly showing some Shiny Charm sections of my route, just kind of for practice and stuff. Try to get actually good. Because my playthrough of the route was definitely messy just because I haven't played in a long time. But hopefully the any percent runs will de-rust me a good bit. And we will try to do a full Shiny Charm run, probably around the holidays, around the end of December. So, yeah, look forward to that. And like I said, I'll be around on Discord to answer questions if anybody has them about the route, and I would love to spitball some more ideas about it, and, if anything's blatantly wrong somewhere, because I did just change a lot of slides. I might have left in some old strats that were wrong, and things like that, but yeah, 12.5 hour speedrun incoming. Hopefully before the end of 2024.